We can't do. And good morning, everyone. This is David Crompton, along with Chuck Fiebernetz and the head ball coach of the Tuscola Mountaineers, Jonathan Crompton. Good Saturday morning from Studio C or D, whichever one we're in now.
Yeah,
But good morning, Chuck. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm good on, especially after that big win against those Maroon Devils.
And good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
And again, folks, if you would have been here 25 seconds ago, it's our usual Saturday. You're killing me. You're running late. Please, let's go argument. And Chuck's laughing from Winston Salem. But hey,
if I had a button that I could push us to go live 2 minutes before we go on, that would be on bloopers, and it would be hilarious. I'd hit that and let you guys roll.
It's a weekly thing.
We'd win our money. We'd win our money. So good morning. Big win last night for the Mountaineers. 3-1 headed into the off week as we get ready to play a good physical Franklin team in 2 weeks. We'll talk about those guys in a little bit, but big win last night, 42-8. Kids played really hard, executed well. Chuck, I love your hat today.
Thank you.
At least there's no red today.
No, he's wearing his Mountaineer hat.
I know. I'm just messing with you. At least there's no. I don't have to call you out today.
But a big win by the Mountaineers last night. Just executed all three phases of the game: offense, defense. Our special teams continue to impress the heck out of me. Really tickled for the kids and the effort that they put forth last night. And before I throw it over to you, Coach Chuck, just real quick, your thoughts on before we start breaking down and talking about kids and the game and all that stuff. Your thoughts on 3-1, and in particular last night.
Well, last night had a little extra oomph to it as far as rivalry, and the kids I thought responded exceptionally well. And it's a good. Anytime you can go seriously on this, anytime you can go into the Smoky Mountain Conference in their place, at their place, and win at the margin you did, take that victory no matter what, and come home. Just take it. Say, I'm not doing this anymore. I thought it was a big win. The kids responded. It is, to me, since the opener, it is the third consecutive week they have made improvements in leaps and bounds. We all know they're not where they're expected to be, but that's where you want them to. Every game is to improve. And so 3-1 in non-conference. Now you set yourself up a week off, however you're going to handle that. And we got one of the toughest teams in Western North Carolina coming into Tuscola, right? I think, it's in Tuscola.
Yeah. It is at home.
Yeah, and that is in the Franklin, well coached by the Brooks brothers and, the Franklin Panthers. So it's not going to be easy, but everything's playing to the favor of the Tuscola Mountaineers.
All right, Coach, let me throw it over to you, just an overview, and then we'll break it down a little bit. But your thoughts on what you saw and how you and your kids reacted last night in a wonderful environment. And by the way, kudos to our folks.
Oh yeah,
man, it was.
We traveled.
Oh yes, I see your coffee cup, and we're going to. Yes, we get to our spot. I'm just going down my list this morning, but did we not travel well? How amazing was that last night? So kudos to the Mountaineer folks that went over the mountain, and that was really good to see. Our cheerleaders were awesome. The fans were awesome. So anyway, I'm gonna throw it over to you for a second, and then we'll start breaking it down.
Oh yeah, just from a quick overview, real fast. I mean, great job by our from start to finish. I mean, first play of the game. Here's the way that, from a coaching standpoint, you kind of have to look at it. If somebody wins a toss and they want to receive, trust me, I've done it plenty of times. I'll do it plenty of times. But you try to you make sure your team understands. Hey, that's a sign of disrespect. You always say it that way to let them know, hey, most of the time you defer. I've taken the ball plenty of times, but it's a mindset. And our kids responded tremendous to that on the first play, getting a turnover. So it's always fun to be able to say, oh, we're getting the ball at half and we just got the ball on the 13-yard line. Those things, that's a recipe for success. So 3 turnovers, like early. I mean, we had 5 turnovers last night, 2 picks by Elijah Pruitt. He's got four interceptions in 4 games.
Sophomore.
But eventually people may realize that he's a pretty darn good safety and he's got pretty good hands, like I'm not being funny on that one, but he's played well. 3 different guys come up with fumble recoveries. That's awesome to see. But I'm going to tell you right now, the whole speech the whole week to the defense, especially almost take the dive. Well, that dive is its butt back in Waynesville. We took that dive. We took it home. It's just, they played their butts off.
Yeah,
lights out. You're trying to run counter and outside veer, which is a hard offense to stop if you can run it to perfection.
Correct, and that's something that Chuck had talked to everybody about the veer all week.
But here's the thing: when you got the grown men up front, woo, buddy,
yeah,
like that was fun to see and just watch. And watching Coach Chambers in his element last night, calling the defense, Coach Sluter up top, communicating with him, even though our vantage point was 7 rows up. Those things every coach says, overcome adversity. Well, you know what? I don't think there was much adversity last night from start to finish for our guys because how they responded from play one. Christopher Wells been able to kick the ball the way he did last night in the kicking game.
Yeah.
Just as kickoffs in general, but then as the muff punt was beautiful to see, but you can't get the ball if we don't cover, right? If our coverage team doesn't cover. It's just all around great team win last night. Bridger Jones, 4 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 2 receiving. Jet Bartley, 3 touchdowns through the air. Cooper Williamson getting his first touchdown last night. It was just all in all.
And I go back that and we'll start talking about individual things, but the throw and the catch with Jet and Bo.
It was a great over the shoulder adjustment. That was the only place he could put the ball.
And just what a catch!
The only place he could put the post. And the beautiful thing that, excuse me, that we've got going here from skill position wise is used to. You could say, oh, like last year or the year before when I was not here, you could say, oh, number blah 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 is here. They may do blah blah blah, and try to double team. If you double team Bo, you still got to deal with 5 others that at any given moment can go make the big catch, split the safeties, any of that stuff.
Yeah,
and that's Elijah Pruitt, Sam Decker, Isaiah Hyatt, Bridger Jones, Cooper Williamson. Oh, Ty Walker. So there's 6. We've got and then Bo. So if you want to double one, somebody else is one-on-one. That's the beautiful thing that what we've got right now. So that's how Bo ended up one-on-one. Great adjustment. Phenomenal adjustment just for over the shoulder and toe tapping to stay in.
Yeah.
Just all around good effort last night. It's really fun when you almost have run o'clock at halftime. And that's kudos to our players and how they adjusted and took the game plan and executed it almost, keyword almost, because I'm weird about it, but as close to perfection as possible. Honestly, it was a fun one to see our kids do.
So defensively, if you saw my notes that I made this morning early, while you two were sleeping, Chuck said I got up at 7 o'clock, like he was really. I was really good. I got up at 7. I love it, but defensively, from week 1 to week 4, just what a difference as far as not being there because they played as hard and were at the football against Asheville High as they were last night.
Oh yeah,
but now we're making the plays.
Well, we've made
they
progression.
played so well last night.
But you that's the thing.
Yeah.
Non-conference is non-conference for a reason. You want to challenge yourself. That's why there's an Asheville on the schedule. Asheville's a really good football team. They're big, they're fast, they're physical, and they are good at what they do. We just didn't make tackles. All right. Learn from it, move on. And notice what our defense has done since. All right. You want to know how many points our defense is averaging giving up since then? 6.
Yeah. So that
all right, sorry. We'll call it because one was 6. We'll call it 6.5 going on 7 because of a 2-point play last night. I mean that I would say that's improvement. You know what I mean? Because we've taken to heart. I say we, but the players have taken to heart the coaching, the individual periods that we do, the tackling that we do, the pursuit drills that we do, taking it to heart, and it's showing up on Fridays.
Chuck, I'll throw it to you to talk about a little bit about defense, and you and Jonathan can talk defense.
Well, first I want to talk about congratulations to Cooper Williamson for scoring his first varsity touchdown. When told last night about that, I was like, I didn't realize that Coop hadn't scored yet. And how that worked out just epitomizes class and team that you have created, that culture at Tuscola. So congratulations to the coaching staff on that. Again, yes, defensive improvements have grown since Asheville, doing the little things that they didn't do in the opener. That's long ago, how you're playing. I guess at this point, Jonathan, you're 3-1. Assess your team right now where you're at with a 3-1 record out of non-conference heading.
Nope.
Okay, he froze up a little bit. He'll be right back.
Are you doing it?
Okay, go ahead.
Ask that again. Ask that last question again, Chuck.
Okay. You're 3-1 at this point in time. You're finished off your non-conference schedule, and anytime you're 4-0 and 3-1, it's a successful non-conference schedule performance. So assess your team. Assess your team at this point as you head into 2 weeks from now, the conference opener against Franklin.
I mean, I think where I would like us to be, I'll say it that way, as far as just team in general, balanced of run and pass game on offense, picking up, because we've got what a lot of people don't realize, we have so many players that last night was their 4th varsity game on both sides of the ball, O&D. So they're learning as they go. They're growing as we go. And then the older guys that have got varsity experience, there's not the, you got to listen to me. I've got X amount of games, all that. I've been around that before. You would never know that our right tackle and our right guard are senior and freshmen because of how they act around each other, how they treat each other in the game, how they respond to each other. So I like I said, I'm extremely excited where we're at. Schematically, it's fun because we're able to grow each week. We're able to do things at halftime that I did not know if we'd be able to do at the moment because of how complex our system is, but we're able to adjust on the run as far as, hey, if say Coach Gibson or Coach Seibert or Coach Shepard are in my ear, they're doing XYZ on defense. We could really think about, ABC, but we hadn't really talked about it a whole lot, but it's within our system. We're able to go there and say, hey guys, we sit them down, we show them blah, 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 blah. Here are audibles. Here are this, here are that. And that's fun because I didn't know if we'd be able to do it in game 4. I knew we'd be able to get there, but you never know what point. So I'm extremely proud of especially like offensively picking up what we want to do, how we do it. O-line playing. I talked to Coach Gibson last night, just about how tremendous our O-line's playing at the moment. The cohesiveness they've got together. We've got 7 O-linemen that can just at any moment go play, and we have zero care who's in. That's a great thing to have. And then, defensively, We're growing week to week. I love where we're at. Like I said, when you're averaging giving up a touchdown a game in your last 3 non-conference games leading into conference, which the good part is a lot of the teams that we will face in conference is not veer or it's not just double wing counter, but there is a lot of run heavy, Franklin, North, East, those things, which is a good thing that plays into what we've been doing well lately. And that's where we're going to be able to keep growing. Now, granted, you got to be ready for them to game plan too. They have that ability. They're allowed to. So I'm pleased with that. And then special teams, though, ultimate improvement from last year with Coach Cyber. I mean, ultimate improvement. We've got the return yards are tremendous. When you've got people trying to pooch kick every kickoff now, and that's phenomenal. Christopher Wells is kicking the crap out of the ball on kickoffs and punt. So there's a lot to be pleased about. There's always going to be stuff to work on because we're not doing our jobs if we're not working on some, you know what I'm saying? If we're not finding things to work on that can help us improve down the road. But very pleased with where we're at as a team. Kids love each other, bought into what the meaning to be a Tuscola Mountaineer is. So it's fun at the moment. That's for sure.
Let me ask a question. That your front seven, I kind of want to break it down a little bit. Last night, that front seven against that, they had some men up front now, by golly, but our front seven last night, Chuck, we talked about this on the phone. Up until midway through the third quarter, they had 1 first down. Your front seven was phenomenal. We'll get to the guys on the back end in a minute, but my goodness, creating turnovers, getting the turnover, but rallying to the ball, played the dive man, played the quarterback, played the pitch man, and the guys, people that really don't understand the game as far as the technical end of it are sitting up there going, that's awesome, that's awesome, that's awesome. But then I see shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage, getting to the spot, not letting anybody get outside leverage, that I'm going, wow. And Austin Chambers and that defensive group, but in the kids, it was phenomenal to see last night. Yeah, it was just phenomenal to see the passion, the emotion, and the bit in business like.
Yeah, but here's the thing: our kids understand. Our kids understand we care about them. Our kids understand we're not just going to say something and ask them to do something we've never done. Coach Chambers, just this past week was fun to sit back and watch defensive periods and watch him in his element. Watch Coach Cyber. Coach Cyber got beat up playing scout team quarterback, making sure our kids saw the perfect imitation of veer, counter, bootleg, and those things. I mean, physical bruises on his shoulders just because he was like, I'm gonna give our kids the best look. If their face mask hits me, it is what it is. We want to win this ball game. Our kids see that and they understand that. And our defense, I'm gonna tell you, our defense is damn good. I mean, I'm just being honest. Yeah. Our secondary with Coach Sluter, they're ball hawks right now. Watching, but just the little things. Watching Brandon Jordan backpedal, foot in the ground, drive on a ball, or drive on a block. The foot in the ground go that was there last year, but it wasn't as confident because it's year one. Those things happen. But our excuse me, our secondary playing lights out. Cooper Williamson. Cooper literally said, "Run the ball at me."
Look at Chuck's face when you mention Coop.
But that's the mindset, and that's what we preach. That's what our kids understand. Having that T on your chest is different. It's not just some random logo. It's not just a power T. It means something from the 1972 state championship team. It means something because how good our band is. It means something that our cheerleaders show up and are loud and supporting us and cheer and celebrate with us after a game. It's a community thing. It's not just a football thing. It's two of our best baseball players ride the bus with us and our football photographers because they just want to be around their buddies and celebrate with another sport. it's a little different what it means. And our kids know that and they've owned that and they bought into that. And it's not just a high school logo. It's not just a high school football game. It's a community effort. Our fans being able to celebrate a win on the road in a hostile environment where you can go kick somebody's you know what and they know it. There's nothing you can do about it. And our fans are there loud. That's what wearing that T means. Literally, that's what that on that hat means. And our kids know that. That's what's so fun about it. In all honesty. And it's not just about one game, because we played our butts off last night. It's about day in, day out, being in the community. When any of our kids in any sport goes to work, wherever they work, and them supporting them every program, repping their logos, those things, talking to the people in the community. That's what we do. Because that's the embodiment of a Tuscola Mountaineer, not just a Friday night or not just a baseball conference championship game or a baseball 5th round appearance. You know what I mean? Those come. But the embodiment that when the community member sees that person out, that player out, or that cheerleader out, or that band member out, they know who they are because of how they've represented themselves. And then that right there leaks right into a football game on Friday night. Then our kids go, you know what? Let's go just an extra bit harder tonight. Let's go do this tonight because they deserve to celebrate with us. Right? Those things. That's the stuff that is so fun to see because our kids own it. They love it. And that right there, I say all that to say, that's our defense.
Yeah.
That's our defense.
Yeah.
Our defense plays their freaking butts off.
But I also, but I'm gonna tell you something. It was all 43 last night. It wasn't just 11. Man, oh man, oh man! Those kids came in there and played their. I'm going to use big boy language. They really they played their tails off there, and it's fun to see these kids that work so hard.
But here, watch this. I'm going to tell you the literal definition of Tuscola Mountaineer, and I'm not going to say these players by name or ex-players. 3 players they removed themselves from the team, like by terms they quit, and I get why they needed to do other things when it comes to work and those things. Guess who's the first ones on the fence last night? The whole game. Supporting their friends, supporting their old teammates. Because that's what it is. You know what I mean? They don't have to come to Friday night or Thursday night games anymore. Guess who's on the fence line every game? That's what it means. Literally, that's what we do here. But that's the definition of our defense. Love your brother, have your brother's back, and go play your you know what off, and all will take care of itself. Hey, what happened last night? They had each other's back. Because I'm going to tell you this: who does not get the credit when you're playing a run team? D-line. Who doesn't get the tackles? D-line. Who makes the play but not the tackle? D-line. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
So that's the definition of the Tuscola Mountaineers football team is I'm going to make the play, but I'm not going to make the tackle. I'm going to make the play, but I'm not going to make the tackle. Julius, Jesse, Connor, Bryson, Bridger being out there on a wide D end, Everett going out there, Ty Walker being a safety, going and playing the wide overhang to help stop the dive. That's the embodiment of playing defense for Tuscola. Selfless, and you go out there and you play for your brother and stop the dive and bring that thing back home to Waynesville.
Chucky?
Yeah,
I see your Tiger stuff. You're making me sick.
Okay. As long as you see it, and it was such a great night last night because the Tigers had no hit the Baltimore Orioles into the night.
Not good.
But you want me to tell you something? I have a new cup to drink out of, and it's called the Tuscola Beat Your Butt. And this is what Swain looked like in the morning, when
that cup is awesome.
It's yellow and black. Johnson, there's no red on this. I
can't hate on it.
And it's full of caffeine and chaos coffee. And I know you're on your fourth or fifth cup since 7 o'clock, and and we got some announcements here before we start talking about the offense, and I love that. So a couple of announcements, Jonathan. If you got, we're going to talk about before we start talking about the offense and our special teams, and the middle school played this week. Got beat. Let's see. They're at Canton coming this week. The middle school's playing at Canton. Went over to Macon and didn't get the win, but played. I'm talking. This is from Ryan Sutton from Sutton and Sons Antique Mall, whose coach is down there too. And Ryan, we can never thank you enough for everything you do. But they took it on the chin. But they're getting better, and they're preparing those Mountaineers to come to you, and they're at Canton this week, and so we're going to go support the middle school and the youth program, which is continuing to just lay wood to people on the football field. Real quick, a busy day today. The cheerleaders at 4 o'clock are at Pisgah High School Gymnasium for the cheerleading competition. And you and I spent thousands of hours at cheerleading competitions supporting your sister. And
they were good.
Those things are very important, and they work really, really hard. So at 4 o'clock, what I need folks to do is because the youth league football is playing at Inca at 4 o'clock. So we got 4 o'clock cheerleading competition, and we at Pisgah gym, and we got 4 o'clock kickoff at Inca with the football program. So here's what you're going to do when we get off the air here today, folks. Before you go to Knoxville, when we get off the air here today, come down to see me at Crompton's. Buy a car from me. You're going to take that car and you're going to drive up to Sutton and Sons, and you're going to go in that antique mall, and you're going to get you something from Ryan and his family, because they got really awesome, cool stuff that you can't get anywhere else. They travel the country to get this stuff for you. After you buy whatever you're going to buy from Ryan, you're going to get in that car that you just got from me, and you're going to drive down to Caffeine and Chaos, and you're going to get you a multitude of items, including your coffee, your food, a shirt, a mug, and then you're going to get in that car and you're going to drive to Pisgah at 4 o'clock, and you're going to run in there and you're going to support the cheerleaders. Then you're going to look at your husband or wife or whoever, and you're going to say, come pick me up in a little bit. You take that car and you drive to Inca, and you're going to go watch the youth league football game. And then you're going to get in that car when it's over, after they win at Inca, and you're going to drive back. You're going to pick them up after the cheerleaders win the competition, and then you're going to go home. So we've got a full day to support our community, support the businesses that are able to do this, so we can bring you Coach Jonathan's show. And seriously, come see me, go see Ryan, go see the people, our friends at all three of these businesses. So that's that. I needed to make sure I got that out of the way. Now, Chucky, I'm gonna throw it back to you. So let's talk some football here. Let's talk last night. Let's talk football, because I know Jonathan's got a lot of football.
One makeup note, and everybody could probably do this, is this right here changes its name every week. This is the Sherman Cup today.
Oh my God!
This is the Sherman Cup. And he likes to change his name. So I'm going to drink out of that victory cup all day today. Anyhow, Sherman and I will have those drinks. But offensively, I really would like to step on, the story behind Cooper's first touchdown and the varsity. When I was told that, I went last night and started looking back. I thought, this can't be his first touchdown. He's played so well in so many games, and it was. Talk about the moment. And what transpired to get Cooper Williamson his first touchdown.
Well, if you want to know the truth, I would like to keep that in-house, if to be honest, because of the specialness of it, in my opinion. Just understand we have a boatload of players that care about each other,
Much respect. I respect that.
care about each other, and don't care about individual statistics, care about their teammate, and care about a win. I'll just say it that way.
Let's
But-
move on to the offensive line. Again, another. I mean, it was sort of like a slow start, but yet they continued to play well. Much improvement or not?
Last night? Are you talking about just last night in general?
Yeah,
Last night was a dominant performance by the O-line. Very dominant. And don't get me wrong, Swain's got some big physical D linemen. Our O-line went out there and said, we're going to prove a point to the world. We'll prove a point to this conference, our conference, the state, whoever. And literally did whatever they wanted to do. We'll say it that way. It was an all-around awesome performance by those 5, and 6, depending on personnel. And it never hurts. So when I script the first X amount of plays, I won't say how many. It's icing on the cake, but you don't ever predict you're going to start on the 13-yard line. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't come to your head by going, first play of the game will be inside the opponent's 15. So we kind of had to do a little adjusting on the run, which that's a great adjustment you got to make. And kudos to just how they played. And we were watching film this week, and I was showing the running backs a certain look by linebackers and this and that, and showed them and said, hey, guys, if you get this look, I need your eyes on this specific player. Not a number, but their position. If they overflow like this, you be ready for that NFL jump cut, that NFL-style jump cut to the backside, right? And I'm saying it, and we're watching it on film, and I know they see it. You know what I mean? But you never know if they retain it. You know what I'm saying? I was that same player. The coaches, you don't really know. Well, first touchdown of the game, guess what happened?
They got that look.
Jump cut back, come on the field and say, Coach, there's that jump cut we talked about. If you understood how proud that makes me as a coach, like honestly proud, that the first thing they did off the field was say, hey, there's that jump cut. And guess what happened on another one? Or sorry, 2 more jump cuts, because they understood what we wanted on the film, and the lineman blocked it freaking perfectly. We hit the backside cutback. You understand, backside cutback on outside zone is really unorthodox. Let me just say that. Very unorthodox for a backside cut on outside zone. But our kids trust what we tell them, and they trust the look we show them. And our O-line blocked it so well. And then Chase Smalley, he's in it at a fullback position. We're running outside zone left, and one of Bridger's 74 touchdowns it felt like he had last night. And
Chase was a freshman.
He's blocking out. He's supposed to on outside zone. He's blocking out, and he sees a backside linebacker coming through, and I can still see it. He puts his foot in the ground and comes back and thuds the dude for the seal. Bridger is able to go now, put his head down and score. But otherwise, if Chase doesn't do that, we don't score. That's not Chase's guy. That he's a freshman. That's the stuff that we're able to see our kids evolve, because we tell them, hey, be ready for certain looks. Things are going to happen, blah, 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 and the things we tell them during the week. But then being able to go out and implement it, that's what was fun. Our O-line played so well last night, even in the pass game. I won't get into that side of schematics on their defense. It was slightly confusing why they didn't do certain things. I'll say it that way. But that's neither here nor there. The things they did when they tried to just send a linebacker up the gut, you ain't coming up the gut on Jesse Bledsoe or Alex Caldwell in the 30 front. They will thud your butt. And last night showed it. And that's what's fun to see because our O-line is such a strength on our team. I mean, honestly, Dustin Moore will like you're gonna have to you got to fight him to get him to let go on a block. He's gonna do everything he can to hold on till the end and do his job. And that's our center. That's what all starts. Making all the calls. I put a lot on Dustin on calls. I mean a lot. Doesn't miss a beat.
Jonathan, last night, it was a successful night, and you prepare, and people who know football know that veers and power running game, they're sort of like, the only word I can come up with is arrogant. I don't care if you know where I'm running it, you can't stop me. And that's sort of like the veer. And when you put a stop to their bread and butter, did you force them into something they were uncomfortable doing last night?
Throwing the football.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole point. Make them throw. They are not a passing team. And that's not, I don't mean that in a slight. They're a Smoky Mountain Conference team that you know what you get. It's inside, outside, veer, counter. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. So the whole plan for the week was make them throw the football. And Elijah Pruitt, 2 picks, he almost had 3.
Yes.
So that's what we wanted. We want to force you, like certain teams, we want to force you into our advantage, which every team wants to do that, obviously. You know, that's every game plan. Try to force their hand to do what helps you. But, playing their system last night, the whole thing was let's make them throw. Let's do it. And then icing on the cake in such a satisfying way to end it with a pick. I won't change. I would never change that decision to throw them right back in and get an interception. And I was hoping he'd house it. I ain't gonna lie. I was running down the sideline screaming, "Go, go, go, go! Let's go! Run, score again!" I was all for that, but Elijah made the smart play just to get down in the game. I'll own that one. But all around last night was fun, just as a team win, team effort, kids playing for each other. And the stuff that people don't see at all. We're getting ready for pregame. There's a self-called team speech by a player and I was like, coaches, we don't need to go. Because I literally want a player-led team. I want our players to love and trust each other and respect each other and know that if I come in there for pregame speech, I don't even have to say a word if we didn't need to. That's where we're headed. And as soon as that speech was given, I don't know. I have no idea what was said. None of us do because we shut the door and said, it's on them. They got this. Because I'm the kid that did it. I trust with everything. Bridger Jones, I trust it. And whatever he said obviously worked. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking credit for that.
And real quick, speaking of Bridger, he's down at Lake Hartwell. He started at 5 this morning. And support this kid. Man, he's going to try to win a national championship. He's one of the top high school bass fishermen in the country. And everything about this kid is the epitome of good.
Oh,
think
about it. He goes and scores 4 touchdowns last night, gets in a car and goes straight to Lake Hartwell to go fish the next morning. Because that's dedication.
Yeah, we're waiting on his text.
Hey, that's
they
dedication.
Promised me they were going to text you so I can let Chuck know because I know Chuck's waiting. But anyway, 3-1. If at the start of the season, if the 3 of us were in a room and we're just sitting there, and I said, "You gonna be okay 3-1? Would you take 3-1 coming out of and take the ultra competitive thing out of you?" But 3-1 coming out, and still, and only have Gavin for like 4 plays so far. Would you have taken it?
Well, obviously anybody would 3-1, no matter the situation. Ultimately, yeah, you want to be 4-0. But the reality is, there's been how many teams in the NFL ever finish undefeated? Right?
Yeah.
It's very hard to do.
Just one.
But that's what I'm saying. It's very hard to do. Has it been done? Yes. Can it be done? Yes. But if you play a hard enough non-conference schedule, it's very hard. And that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, obviously, ultimate goal, if you want to know the truth, ultimate goal is the next 6 games. The next 6 are the ones that are like genuinely mean. Do you hang a banner, and do you get a top 6 playoff seed? So yeah, you always want to be 4-0, leaving non-conference. But the reality is, you got to make sure that you're non-conference. You are fully prepared schematically, as healthy as you possibly can, because it is football. There's nicks and bruises for the next 6. So yeah, long answer short, I would have been like, yeah, I'll take 3-1. But how are we going into conference? How are we going into health wise? How are we going into scheme wise? How are we going into any of those avenues? That would have been more. That's more important to me than just a record non-conference, because I'm not going to sell the farm, that old cliche, sell the farm just for non-conference. I want to win everything I do, but I want to win the next 6.
And our conference, Chuck. This conference is a whole.
Oh, it's loaded.
It's loaded, brother.
It is. It's loaded. There's the crazy. The fun part about our conference is any team can beat any team any week. So I mean, you got to bring your A game every week.
Yeah.
That's what you want. That's what you live for. I do think our bye week comes at a good time. You know what I'm saying? I do like that, to be honest with you. I like that it's 4 by 6. It's just now we got to have a productive bye week, get as healthy as we can, because, ultimately you do get nicks and bruises. That's just football. It's a physical sport. Make sure that we're as healthy as possible, getting ready for a home game at CU Weatherby.
Chuck, I'll throw it to you, buddy, to talk about the Mountain 7 and what we're thinking here as we get ready for a very important bye week.
Well, before we do that real quick, I do want to say, I mean, offensively last night.
Yeah, it's your show, dude.
Yeah, we're just here supporting it.
Yeah, dude.
Well, no, just offensively, though. All the avenues that we were able to do things last night, once again, start up front. They're the definition of you don't get the credit. Well, you know what? Our linemen get our credit. We don't rush for a touchdown without our O-line. We don't throw for a touchdown without our O-line. We can't throw screens without our O-line. You know what I'm saying? We can't. That's just how we are. That was fun to see. You know what I'm saying? Like it was very encouraging to see. But the communication coming off the field from the front 5 saying, hey, here's what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. And from left to right, you got David Bowman, Alex Caldwell, Dustin Moore, Jesse Bledsoe, Everett Messer, and then Bryce Cosby when we want to go beef package, essentially. It's not the name of it, but it sounds good. There's a lot of beef on that O-line at that point, but a lot of beef that can move and is smart and intelligent and can do everything we need to do. So that was awesome to see. Bridger being able to getting 1 touchdown in the game's hard. Getting 2's really hard. Getting a hat trick doesn't happen very often. Getting 4 in a game is nearly impossible. I'm being serious. That was so fun to see, and what a better kid to be able to have that happen to. But the stuff that I enjoy, 2 of his touchdown or his receiving touchdowns. Nothing new. The first one, we hadn't ran that play in 3.5 weeks. Literally. But guess what? He comes running to the sideline real fast. Coach, if we ran blah, 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 this is open. I promise you I can beat him. This is open. All right. So I hurry and grab the iPad. Look at him like, dang, kid's got a point. And it's not to be selfish. It's just the fact if he goes, coach, if they go 2 safeties, they're super wide. I'm running on a linebacker. I can beat this linebacker. Well, guess what he did? He beat the linebacker for a touchdown. All right, so that his next touchdown. We hadn't ran this play since last year. It's a version of one of our plays, blah, blah, blah. Called it real quick, and he goes, really? Yep, go get it. Jet, hang on it. Hang on, it's going to be there. Just trust me. Read it out, but I need you to trust me. All right? Hung on it, threw a dart, takes a hit, give him 6. Strike up the band. That's the stuff that we do. Oh, then you got Bo late. That wasn't, that's not Bo's normal position at receiver. Changed it at halftime real quick. Wanted to little tweak some things. Wanted to try some different little mojo things. Hey, read it out. It's going to be there. I promise you. I've schemed it. It's going to be there. But read it out. Don't let me force you into something here. Give him 6. Strike up the band. Oh, Sam Decker. They want to run deep with Isaiah and Bo.
Man.
But no, here's the best part. This is the first week all year. This is the first time all season Jet has read that concept. Hey, read it out. Here's what we're looking for. Looking for boom, 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 boom. I got faith in you. We've taught you how to read. We've taught you how to understand defense. We've taught you how to decipher what they're doing. Read it out. They're probably going to – I scheme things in certain ways. I'm not saying they're perfect. We're human. They're not. I'm going to call bad plays. We are human. But here's the best part. I called bad plays last night. But guess what? And this is the exact word of Austin Chambers before the game to our coaches when we were sitting there talking. He goes, our kids got our back. Our kids have our back. It ain't we got their back. They got our back. Guess what happened last night? It's the first time Jets read that concept all season, including the summer, including fall camp. Sam Decker, wide ass open on the dig.
Is that the one?
Oh, hey, guess what? Then, hey, Isaiah Hyatt, wide open on the dig. Let's go. So what's going to happen in a couple weeks? And I'm going to call it. When they hit the dig, one of those two is going to split them and go because they have that ability, because they understand the system. They trust it. I'm not saying it's going to be – it can't. I'm not predicting it's going to be there in what game, but that's how it works within our system. Our kids know what we want, and they trust each other from top to bottom last night. Almost as flawless as possible. I'd love to have a couple throws back, but that's me being an old quarterback and being nitpicky. I'd love to have a couple runs back. That's just me being picky, right? But from top to bottom, because I may run out of helmet stickers this week for the back of their helmets. I was messing with a couple guys on the sideline. I was like, guys, I'm going to have to get you a spare helmet just to have for stickers in your locker. That's how well we played from top to bottom. O-line, everybody. So O-line doesn't get a lot of individual credit, do they? That's the unfortunate part. But I promise you right now, our O-line, I will put up against anybody because they trust each other and they will ride with each other. They hang out off the field. You know what I'm saying? They believe in each other and they believe in Coach Gibson. That's the mindset we have. And our O-line last night played flawless. I mean, a 14-year-old manhandled a senior that has Division I offers. Manhandled him. Colleges,
Chuck,
y'all gonna hear from me this week.
Chuck,
I'll tell you right now.
That's what we talked about on the way home. Is what he? I mean, all 5, really all 6, John.
Oh, 100%.
It's all 6. But man, man.
But because what has he done? He's bought into the idea and the meaning of that. He has. Because who else has? All of them. It's just what it is. And that's the beautiful thing for me from the offense last night. We played very well. You never expect to have the ball inside the opponent's 15 first play. Never going to complain about that, though. I'm just being honest. Because, hey, call it what you want. People are going to be like, oh, you only won because of turnovers. Or guess what? Turnovers are part of the game. You still got to go recover the fumble. We had three different kids recover 3 fumbles last night. 3 kids: Walker Bolden, Bridger Jones, and Bryson Haynes. Ball's on the ground. Let's go get it. Let's go get it, guys. Go get the ball. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's who cares if it was a turnover? Because you know how people have already chirped out. Well, you got to play the game. The way I look at it is, don't fumble the snap, and then I won't have to have the ball in the 13. And so that's for the people that because there's always those naysayers that go, oh, well, you don't matter. Because the bottom line is, our kids don't matter. I mean, 2 games ago, we have the ball on the 4-yard line, 96-yard drive. I trust our kids. And last night was the definition of them playing together, selfless, and saying, we're going to go prove a point to ourselves and to our community that we know what we're doing. We can play football. Because, man, I would not want to coach any other group of kids.
Good deal. All right. Chuck, we ready for Mountain 7?
Yeah, Mountain 7 is, we talked about teams getting better. I think teams are, the teams, the West Henderson, the Franklin, the Tuscola, the Pisgah, have made improvements, except for West Henderson's come down just a little from its 2-year run, 3-year run, where they were a very dominant football team. And I think there's more parity in that top 4. I think the bottom 3, Smoky is slightly better. I think, you got East Henderson and North Henderson are improved football teams. Now, it may not show in wins and losses, but come Friday night in conference play, they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough. And I'll tell you, there's certain teams when you play every Friday night for whatever reason has a bullseye on their back. Tuscola being one of them. Every Friday night, you're going to get, no matter what the record is of the team, this year you're going to get, the best effort to try and upset you or beat you. And so I was enjoying the last 15 minutes, Jonathan, just freely talking about his team. I'm content to ask one question and let him roll, because we talked when the day in April when he was hired that he wanted to be an elite football program in the state of North Carolina, and he is moving fast towards that. This is not a slow drive. This is moving fast towards it. The marching band's up there as an elite high school marching band. The cheerleaders up there. Football team is coming. You have an elite football radio broadcast team that does now an outstanding job. So it seems like everybody at Tuscola, your grades, your academics, moving up. This is all predicated on the fact that you got emotion and excitement out of the football team. And I could, now all that needs to come is, and it sounds like they're doing is the fan base. When you travel, you pack the stadium. When you're home, you pack the stadium. And I will bring up one thing. That stadium is such a huge high school stadium. It's built for a 4A team with a 4A enrollment. 950 students is what Tuscola is in the ballpark. That is not built for a 952 enrollment. That's built for a 4A. But you guys are packing that side of the home stadium. So nothing is shaky here. You're moving on. The excitement is real. Everything is real and getting better every day, every week. So I'm excited to see all this stuff. But what I just heard for the last 30 minutes, I'm content to listen because it's from the head ball coach's heart on his kids. That to me speaks volumes.
Well said, Chucky. But so let's talk about. And I don't need the CIA answer. I'm not asking the CIA questions. Open week. I know, healthy, healing, all that good stuff. Just what's your plans for your guys here in the open week? What are you guys going to do without all
full blown scrimmage? You're laughing.
Is
We're
he?
going full pads, 4 days. We're going. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding because I know some of them are watching. They're like, "Oh God, oh God." No, I'm just kidding. No, guys, I said from day one that I was going to run this like a college or professional program as far as how the kids are treated, with how we act and all that stuff. And they
practice tempo, practice schedule.
They've owned that. But I'm not going to say what we've done this year practice wise because I'm not going to give any tips away to anybody to be able to try to do what we do. But understand we take care of our kids. Bye week is time for us to get healthy. It'll be for a lot of the old cliche, a lot of young kid reps, young guy reps to make sure that we are developing within the system. Yes, there'll be some Franklin stuff done. I mean, you can't not do that, but there'll be a lot of time to get a lot of young guy reps to ultimately you're only as good as, like, if somebody goes down, your number 2 needs to be just like a number 1. It needs to be a 1A, 1B. And that's what we're working towards. And last night, let's talk about real fast the tremendous job some of these kids did coming in last night and going out there. But hey, Veer ain't easy to stop. We subbed, they didn't. That's their dudes, and they still could hardly move the ball. Let me repeat that. We subbed, they didn't. All right. They asked for run a clock. They didn't sub. Cool. Understand. We don't forget. Just keep that in mind. We subbed that as an agreement. You didn't. Cool. Our kids still shoved it up your ass. Excuse my language. But hey, because guess what we do at Tuscola? It doesn't matter who we play. Doesn't matter who's in the game. That means something. So those kids played their freaking fannies off last night.
Oh, it was beautiful to see.
They played their fannies off last night, going in and understanding what to do, moving guys, moving pieces, doing this, doing that. Hey, you're going to here. You're going to here. Yes, sir. I got the dive. I got the QB or whatever. That was what was fun. And so we're going to get this week at practice, we'll get a lot of good reps, good fundamental reps. Obviously, Franklin stuff will be worked on. Obviously, just like Franklin last week would have worked on East because they got East this week and they were off. You're going to do that.
Yeah.
But we'll have I would say a typical bye week. Work on yourselves, focus on yourselves a lot, work on your next opponent a decent amount because you got to make sure that you don't overdo it for when you get their film in case they adjusted something. So that's why. You don't want to implement something and go, "Ooh, we need to backtrack." Those things. And so it'll be, I think it'll be a good week. Be a much needed week for our kids, and then we'll give them Thursday, Friday off. I think they've earned that. We'll give them Thursday, Friday off, and then have a 4-day weekend, and then get ready for Franklin Monday.
And as we've talked about last year, and you and I have talked about forever, from the time that you were a freshman in high school, and with Coach Goldsmith, and then the Brooks. Man, it's a challenge to play those guys.
Oh yeah,
there's
always.
And I know you and Chuck. Nothing but respect.
Oh yeah,
he is the epitome. He, as passionate as you are about that tee,
just a little bit,
and this community. I love the fact that he is the same way.
Oh yeah,
right over the mountain. Mm-hmm. And when you play those guys, win, lose, or draw, you're going to look them in the eye. You're going to shake their hand. And if you're the guy that's got the least points on the scoreboard, you say, I'll be ready next year. But it's nothing but respect.
Yeah, when you're
and
playing
I love
them,
that.
You play them, you better strap it up because they're going to come hard nosed and play hard nosed football. Yeah. That's always playing Franklin. They always have been that way, and they'll always be that way.
Character and class.
They're very well coached. So I mean, obviously, that one. Any game in our conference this year, like I said, any team can beat any team at any moment. The next 6 weeks are going to be a dogfight. Yeah, and that's just and that goes for everybody. That's just what it is.
Yeah, because I will tell you, North Henderson's better. East Henderson's better.
Yeah.
West Henderson, I don't care that they're 2-2. Those guys. They're your friends. They're your fam. Whitaker. Paul. They're going to be good. West is going to be good. Smoky is better, and Pisgah's Pisgah. So we will see. It is in the next 6 weeks, man.
That's what you live for, though.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's football. That's what you want to play in a conference that no week is a pushover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the fun part about football. Our kids know that. Our coaches know that. I think every team in our conference knows that about everybody in our conference. That it is, I think this year in general, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Only time will tell. But I think this year in general, it's one of those that almost any team could win it. You know what I mean? Like from top to bottom. It's kind of fun if you think about it. It's a pretty cool statement to say. Is like if you get caught sleeping on any team, like for any team in our conference, that whoever you're playing can get you like that.
They can bloody your nose.
And I think that I honestly think that's cool. I do. I think that's a fun thing because there's never a dull moment now. You got to be ready for everything. You got to make sure you're ready for every trick play, those things. And not that you're not every week. You know what I mean? But it's not like Tennessee playing Vanderbilt.
Oh man, what?
I'm just saying. Am I wrong?
No.
And you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Or, Michigan playing Rutgers. Honestly, it's not like that game that you go, hey, after the quarter and a half, this game's well in hand. That type of thing. That doesn't happen in our conference now. Like you better be ready for a dogfight for 48 minutes because any team at any moment could go bring home the title. I think that is awesome for our conference. I think that's awesome for every team's fan base. I think it's awesome for every school to be able to say, if we go strap it up every week for 48 minutes, we got a chance. That's what you want personally. That's what you want in a conference. To go out there and say, we're going to play the best of the best each week. Because whoever comes out on top and whoever makes the playoffs is now, in my opinion, more prepared for playoffs because you've had a really good conference schedule. So, for us, it starts with Franklin, and you're going to get hit in the mouth. You are. It's just what it is with Franklin. It's been that way since I was alive. You know what I mean?
You think
it's just what it is.
You think I try not to single out, but like right now, we're 2 weeks away from Franklin. You think Ty Walker is up this morning and probably pacing and telling his parents, "Hey, let's go, man! I got to go lift. I got to run. We got to do something. We got a game in 2 weeks."
If you want to know the truth,
all of them.
If you want to know the truth, I think a lot of them are because I stopped down at obviously Caffeine and Chaos. Went and got my coffee this morning.
And who met you in there?
Well, no, so here's Alex Caldwell, right? I'm in drive-thru and I say, "You ready for bye week?" He goes, "No, I'm not." And as a coach, you're going, I didn't expect that answer. Not from him specifically, but just, you know what I'm saying? You go, we're doing something right. From not football, but school or organization, whichever you want to call it wise, we're doing something right. And that starts with Mr. Conard all the way down. Whatever it is, I can't put my finger on because I can't predict that. But something's been done right because that's the mindset of the kids at the school, not just football. Let me rephrase that. I said, "You ready for the bye week?" I promise you this. If you would asked me when I was a kid, I'd be like, "Dude, it won't be the worst." You know what I'm saying? And he goes, "No, I'm actually not." That is so, I get goosebumps. That is so cool to hear when the kids go, "I'm not ready for a bye week. I want to keep going." So to answer
that's good.
Your thing, I bet a good amount of them are probably up going, "What are we doing today? We getting ready?" Like I could see that. It wouldn't surprise me. I will say this. I sincerely and genuinely love my job. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit passionate about it. I love our players. You watch me on the sideline, man, I get in the zone. It is what it is. People can say what they want, but I want our kids to have fun. And guess what I do? I have fun with our players about it because this is such a great time in your life. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to remember these moments for the rest of your life because I promise you, I will.
Yep.
I remember when I was a kid, but I'm going to tell you now, I'm having more fun now than I ever did as a player. I promise. I'm having more fun now than I ever did as a player because now I get to see the enjoyment from the player's or the coach's perspective for the player of seeing your work pay off, seeing your hard work all summer pay off, seeing everything you do pay off and enjoy it and trust in the process. That was fun. Like win, lose, or draw, I have fun every week with our kids. I will go to war with our kids. I think they may or may not know that about me. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to defend them till the day I die. You get the good, the bad, the ugly with me, but at least you know our staff, every one of them has each other's and our players' back. But more importantly, our players got our back, and they go out there and they will go to war and fight for the T on their chest, on their neck emblem, and that Tuscola written across that helmet.
TFL, right?
And it is something special. I've been fortunate or unfortunate, whatever you want to call it, to be a lot of places. All right. Bottom line is, there ain't nothing like it. There's not. It's just it's different. Nothing like it. And our locker room, just the stuff that yeah, it's to our community for us to be able to travel the way that we travel. But our players, one of my favorite moments after a win, home or road, because we have to travel for home games, singing the fight song up the hill, hearing them get excited about it, hearing them chant it and scream it. And some of the coaches had been here hearing it for the first time going, dude, that's cool. Right? Those things. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
It's awesome.
I'm serious. Like, this is a special place, special group of kids. I know it changes each year. Every year is special in its own way. But year two in a system that I'm promising you right now is not a high school offensive system. It's not. The evolution of seeing these kids' football IQ grow because they ask questions, they learn, they watch film. We use Huddle. I'm able to see how many times they've logged on. You'd be surprised on how much film our kids watch on their own. That's what's so fun to see. Like I said, I'm having more fun now than I've ever had, ever. So thank you to our fans. Thank you to all of our supporters, whether it's cheerleaders, band, soccer team, basketball team, whoever it may be, our parents. You should see our coaches' meeting room. We have over 600 Gatorades that our parents have went and donated. We don't need to ask.
There's
hold on,
8 more cases at my office.
That's fine, but we don't need to ask a grocery store. We don't need to, because guess what? Our community rallies.
Yeah,
like that. That's what it is, and that's all that is for players for post game, and that's what's fun to see.
Well, real quick, let's kind of, before we get off Chuck and now I'm gonna call you Jonathan because this is not a coach thing. You're going to Knoxville, so I know that you don't go back often, but I know that Angela and those folks will probably be waiting on you down there, and hug her for me. But Lane is going into Winston-Salem today.
It ain't gonna be pretty, guys. I'm sorry.
I've been
No. Listen, y'all know I root for Wake Forest. Ole
Right.
Miss is good, guys. Ole Miss is they got a quarterback in the third year in the system in Jackson Dart. Ole Miss is good.
Let me ask you a question.
Hurts me to say that, but they are.
Yeah, but I mean, I know you would have loved to have been 3 years in his system with you and him.
Yeah, but see, the thing that Lane does so well is he's evolved his system into today's times, and he's so hard to predict. And that's like in the sense of how he schemes things. He sets people up 4 or 5 weeks in advance, and you think you're getting the left hook, and you're getting the right uppercut. I mean, that's what you get with his system, and they play fast. God,
Is it going to be ugly Chuck and be on? Now take your Deacon off and
Right.
just be Chuck the journalist.
My wife is a controller for a legacy federal credit union. She's a corporate banking executive. And so we have any tickets. So she come home the other day and said, I got his tickets for Saturday. She didn't know. And I said, for this Saturday? And she said, yeah, want to go? And I'm like, no. She said, why? And I said, because it's Ole Miss. That's going to be ugly. And you know me, when I go to a game, if I get there, I'm staying till the band is done playing after the game. So I'm not
turn the lights off.
And guys, that is not a slight on what Coach Clawson's done at Wake.
No.
He's done a tremendous job at Wake Forest.
There are good football programs.
Oh no, but if he's not at Wake Forest as the coach, that program may have imploded by now.
Yeah.
Like he's done a tremendous job there. It's just the fact that Ole Miss has, bottom line is they have a different caliber player at the moment. It's just what it is. And that is not a slight on Wake, not a slight on Coach Clawson. What he has done there, once again, because winning at Wake Forest is harder than winning at Vanderbilt.
Really?
Yes.
You believe that, Chuck?
Yes, I do.
I have to take this call as my radio interview, but winning at Wake Forest is harder than winning at Vanderbilt. What he's done there is second to none.
I'll let you take that.
He's second to none what he's done there. And it's just Ole Miss is a different caliber player right now.
We're going to, Chuck and I are going to,
I got it.
Chuck, you want, so your thoughts on.
Let the superstar go off and handle his second phone call.
Is it going to be ugly?
Yeah. I jest, but at the same time, everything Coach 8 has said is spot on. If Clawson's not there, it's the fact of what he's done down there. He's done it legitimately, the right way, the clean way. And it's just that he tries, here's the thing, how good he is. When we're having a problem with, people coming and purging the roster of Wake Forest.
Yeah.
They wanted the Wake Forest players. Sam Hartman, Notre Dame. They didn't. Hartman never went into the portal. He just up and transferred to Notre Dame, and because there was an offer of a large NIL bonus.
Yeah.
So, they went, and that's what angered Clawson so bad. So Jonathan's right on that. I do want to say something, what he said earlier about Kiffin. I've always wondered, because we know Jonathan, and he does the same thing as he sets up his opponents 5 weeks from now. His mind is working 5 and 6 weeks from down here. What he wants to show, he's going to do it. He's going to do a certain thing. And then when you play him, you're not going to see anything that he's done previous. You might see some things to see how you react to it, that you thought, okay, this is how they plan if they change their defensive formation. But he's learned that from Kiffin then. I always wondered where he learned that, about setting something up, and he's thinking weeks ahead.
Well, because we've kind of transitioned in the last couple of minutes from Jonathan's show to what we do during the week, and it's Saturday morning, and we've got a few minutes, and so we could talk a little college football. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, in just kind of quick answers here. Memphis at Florida State at noon. What happens quickly if if Memphis beats Florida State.
Novell's job is on the line, may not survive the weekend.
Wow, that would be stunning, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
Not a lot of big time games in the ACC today. You got Ole Miss at Wake at 6:30, and you got Maryland at Virginia at 8:00, and then you kind of got some cupcakes going on.
Hey,
Big
let's
12,
not breeze over Maryland at Virginia, because that's an old time rivalry and ended when Maryland went to the Big Ten.
Yep.
And this they don't like each other.
Yep. They don't like each other.
Right. They don't.
And in the Big 12, let me make sure what we got here. I'm just looking to see if we got anything. Got West Virginia at Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, hey, it's going to be a great football game. And Pittsburgh's running back, who is right now one of the top 3 or 4 running backs in the nation, was in Cullowhee last year. Is it Reed?
Yes, Reed.
He's rushed for 146 yards a game so far when he left Cullowhee to go to Pitt. That's going to be a good game. And then there's not a lot of big games there. The Big Ten plus 175,000. Alabama at Wisconsin.
Oh, the Wisconsin's going to tote an ass whipping.
Okay. And again, there's Indiana at UCLA. That's kind of odd for me to see as a conference game. Colorado. Oh, back in the Colorado State.
That I couldn't tell you if I was betting the game. I mean, I wouldn't bet the game if I was looking at it, because I don't know how the off the field stuff is going to affect Colorado. There's reports they're imploding, so you don't know, and they're going to Colorado State, and it was brutally chippy, fighty. It was gang warfare last year.
They don't like each other.
So I don't know all that game, but so it would be interesting to watch. There are certain teams after week 2, you kind of got, like I said before, 2 weeks into the season, you know what you got. Indiana at UCLA, I have no idea what they are. So I need another week. This is a matchup where I can say, okay, let's find out how Indiana and UCLA are going to be like this year.
UCLA LSU at South Carolina at noon.
LSU's got problems because you couldn't throw the ball against them. It used to be the DBU. Their defensive woes are continuing. They haven't gotten better defensively. They struggled with Nicholls State for 3 quarters. So did Alabama with South Florida. But yet Alabama and LSU in the 4th quarter, that's why they play 4, just ripped them apart and won by, a comfortable margins. So I'm wondering if this is a team, it's a learning curve under Kelly. And I was the first to say, in year 2, year 3, Kelly LSU would be one of the dominant teams in the SEC. That hasn't happened at all, David.
Well,
Kelly, and I don't know where the problem exists. But going into South Carolina,
it's a hostile environment.
Well, yes. And
it's a great environment in Columbia.
What?
It's a great environment.
Right. With that environment and that hostile environment, it gives the momentum to South Carolina. But again, South Carolina's got to make plays. I still say LSU is good, but they're not in that elite anymore. I'm not Lloyd Swami's feelings. I know he's down there. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
You got Boston College at Missouri, 24 Boston College at number 6 Missouri, ACC SEC matchup. And today should be a test because you're not sold on Missouri. I don't know that they're the 6th team in the country, but I think they're a top 15 team. I would put them in there. But it's going to be a test at Missouri because I think Boston College is a really good football team. Coach O'Brien is going to have them. He will build an elite program, and the kid they got playing quarterback for them does everything the right way. He plays football the right way. He goes to class, and he is their leader. Boston College, I don't think, is overmatched here.
O'Brien is I don't know, was it 6, 7, 8 years was in the NFL.
He was Jonathan's quarterback coach with the Patriots.
Right. And you have they're different breeds. When you go to NFL and you're in there for a while and you pick up everything from A to Z about NFL coaching and you bring it down to the college, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And I was talking to one of our friends about this very same thing and this very same game. And I brought up the fact, well, if it makes a difference from being a former NFL coach and bringing all that vast knowledge and way to do things to the college level, and it makes a difference, why it then makes a difference if that same NFL experience makes a difference on the high school level. If former NFL player and coach is coaching on the high school level against a guy who didn't play college even, and that high school is filled with that, it makes a difference. I'm sorry, it makes a difference. So O'Brien is an impact coach. No matter what you said, he turned his college experience into at Penn State when they were down. Remember that?
Oh yeah, it was bad.
Right. And he knew he didn't go out wide open. He kept everything close to the vest. And you're like, he did one heck of a job. I would not be surprised if Boston College, with their player personnel they got and O'Brien's staff, go in and beat Missouri. I won't call it an upset. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if Missouri won. I don't think it'd be a widespread margin, but I think this is a good football game. People may not may look at it and say, well, I'm not going to watch it because there's some other better game. Watch that BC game in Missouri. See for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a matchup people need to pay attention to. Ole Miss at Wake, we've talked about that. The Georgia going on up to Lexington to play Kentucky today, and I am a fan of Coach Stoops, and I know that. Sometimes I think you're kind of borderline with him. I've always been a fan of what he's done in his approach, but man, I'll tell you, Georgia. As much as it pains me on a personal level to say this, Georgia's just at a different level. They got dudes, and more dudes, and more dudes, and more dudes. They're just a different level.
Like we discussed this on the David and Chuck show, and Georgia is an elite program that you look at and say, I don't know who can beat them. Kentucky with Stoops is, I think you're right in terms of the things he does off the field and his calmness and his demeanor. I like that. But you cannot keep going to the transfer portal for 1 year and start a quarterback. This is his third consecutive year where he has a different quarterback that he got out of the transfer portal. And the kid Vandergrift that came from Georgia, and watched him last week against South Carolina, and he is not ready. So he's now, what do you do now in that situation? I think he's got a quarterback issue that is hampering his offense. And you cannot have anything wrong when you're going to play Georgia. And I just don't think they can play their A game to keep it close. I think Georgia's just a dominant elite team.
Yeah, they're at a different level. Here in the SoCon, let me make sure what I'm saying the right thing. The Cats, Western's headed down to play Elon at 6:00 tonight. Man, Western really needs a win, and Elon is not a pushover. And the Cats kind of need to they really need a win here.
The strange thing about this, David, is the hype of the preseason expectations for Western Carolina, and they did nothing but enhance them when they played with NC State. and had NC State on the ropes and had led NC State in the second half. And then the game got away from them a little bit, but it wasn't a blowout. And it took everything for NC State to tangle with what and get away with the win with Western Carolina. We learned about NC State the following week when they're just not what we thought they were. But for Western to drop the ball against Campbell at home, I think they're on the verge, if not already, lost their fan base because people are saying it's the same old thing at Western. They can't, preseason hype, and by game 2, we have nothing that we can support. If any team in this nation needs a win today, Western needs this win at Elon, and Elon's no pushover.
No, Elon's not, and yes, Western needs a win. Speaking of Campbell, it was really cool to see that Jet West was he went into camp down at Campbell as the number 5 guy at quarterback and worked himself up to the 3rd team guy already, and he's on the travel team. And he was in Cullowhee last week. He was the guy signaling in, and he's learning the system. And before it all is said and done, that young man is going to lead that team to many victories. And it's good to see him. We got our 3 other young men that are on rosters right now too, when talking about college football. But John Truitt, and I don't remember the numbers, but John would know because he knew specific numbers, and he was talking about Campbell total of 40-something transfers in, and that they got money, they got NIL money and all that stuff, and kind of redid their roster with the guy that's the quarterback that is his second or like 2.5 years he's been the starter, or 2 years he's been the starter. So they kind of built around him, where you're talking about Kentucky is not building around a quarterback. Right. So, it's a different world. And, hey, good for Campbell. Good for Campbell to do that. And I hated to see the Cats – when I go back and you talk about the fan base, you're much more versed about that with Western than I am. Much more versed, and so you think it's how critical? I mean, how do I ask this? Is it that critical today to keep their fan base? Or you? I mean,
I think,
is it that critical? I guess is that a fair question for you?
I want to say massively or major frustration. There's a difference. They're just expressing their frustration, same old, catamounts, and they're not, they like Kerwin Bell.
Oh, but yes.
It's like they got they live in the abyss of college football, and they can't get out of it. And when people recognize they got a team that could win the Southern Conference, when's the last time that happened? And could go to the postseason. If they win the Southern Conference, they could go to the postseason. When's the last time that's happened? And then they drop the ball at home in front of a major crowd, and everybody is the majority of the fan base is frustrated beyond end, as my mom would say. And so, critical, they're just expressing their enormous frustration right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I get it from a different perspective. I can go back, like there in Knoxville, it's really easy for that to happen. I mean, they're still going to come and fill the stands, but they probably won't be happy. And they weren't happy at a certain time. But can we talk Western for just a minute? Have you got okay? It's a catch-22, and this is a conversation that I've had with many people over the years, and you and I have had really detailed, even back in the day, you and I had really detailed conversations with the powers that be there. It's a catch-22. You get, use basketball as an example. You get a basketball coach in now, and he builds something or she builds something. Somebody's going to come in and go, I'm going to offer you more money, and you're going to come coach for me, and they're gone. And with Coach Bell, his son was the offensive coordinator, and Pitt came in and said, I'm going to offer you a lot more money. You're going to leave your dad. You're going to come with me. You're going to be our offensive coordinator at Pitt. And can you bring some of your coaches with you? And can you bring probably the best, and I still call it 1AA, can you bring the best 1AA running back in the nation with you? And they go, yeah, okay.
And a wide receiver.
Yeah, okay, and a wide receiver. And they go, okay, we're coming. And it's just, it infuriates me.
Right.
It infuriates me that, because I love that university. My daughter has 2 degrees from that university. She loves that. My granddaughter walks around in a cat's purple and gold. She loves that university. And to see, it just infuriates me. I know that the world has changed, but how do you get, is there even a way to get out of that catch-22? Now, Coach Bell is at an age where he could be content now. I love it here. I live in a great place. I'm getting to coach football. I'm going to get me some kids. I love these kids, and I'm going to go down to Florida. I'm going to get these kids that can run. I'm going to do all this. He might not go, but his staff will have no choice, right?
Right.
And the kids that they'll come in and they'll offer them this money to leave. It's just, it infuriates me. Well, so my question to you and to anybody that's a Cat fan, how do you solve this problem?
In looking at over the years and breaking down the transfer, what you have is a small group of big boys in D1 football recruit that transfer portal from other big time programs. Okay. Georgia's going to get a guy in from Michigan. Georgia's going to get a guy in from Alabama. Ohio State's going to steal 2 Alabama guys. Okay. You see that in what's happening. So
Can I stop you? Can I stop you for 1 second? Don't lose your train of thought.
Right.
They tamper.
Yes.
They are now actively coming in, and you're going to play Western Carolina, and you're going to see this defensive end that they go, ooh, we missed him. He's grown up. They've got him ready to go, and they're going to walk out there after a game or during the season and say, I want you.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So that I just needed to say
they
that.
Recruit from the other big boys. Okay. So they fill their holes and needs with equal or better football players.
Yes.
The lower echelon to mid-level D1 programs, power conference schools recruit out of the group of 5 and the 1AA level. It's right there when you go on pick, ourlabs.com, you get depth charts, and they put in there, identifying as transfers. So those mid-level to lower level teams are not getting better. Like Georgia recruits better football players, experience, and plugs them in. The mid-level and lower echelon of D1 power football we're getting lesser talented players. They are sinking lower. So there's a gap now between the best and the rest of the D1 football, because they're pulling. Pitt recruited with the new coach coming in, Pitt recruited and got them to bring a D1AA running back and a D1AA receiver who are contributing. But Pitt's level just dropped because you're talking about key guys. One thing you cannot do in the transfer portal. You can never violate this. You cannot recruit out of the transfer portal offensive linemen. You can't. So what has happened is these schools that are loving the transfer portal are neglecting, for lack of a better word, the lifeblood of college football, and that is high school recruiting. They're no longer recruiting high schools. So what kids now today are ending up going is that they'll end up as, instead of a D1 program, they might get a D1 AA, and then play for 2 years, prove themselves, and jump up to one because they don't have to sit out. They'll transfer within a year or two, like Reed did, to a D1 power conference school. So there's a lot of bad things out of this, and then Lane Kiffin comes in out of his starting 22. 18 of them out of the starting 22 are transfers. Jackson Dart was a transfer from USC. So you have Lane playing with 18 transfers on the starters. If you take the two deep depth chart, it's 34 kids are transfers out of the two deep on both sides of the football for Ole Miss. It's like a double-edged sword. If they stop this transfer, what is Ole Miss? It's almost like they neglected the high school. Georgia neglecting the high school. Now all of a sudden you got to go back into high school. So I don't know when the time bomb happens, when it explodes, implodes, whatever. But this is what transfer is doing to the game. The elite are getting more elite, and the rest of the college football is dropping down because they're getting kids from other teams they think are good, but they're from lower levels. They're not getting the same transfers Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, so be it. Michigan is playing with they're starting units on both sides. I think it's one transfer, and it showed against Texas. So the transfer portal has so many caveats to it that it just doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right. But right now they're playing in the now. So if Western gets really good players, you worry that somebody going like Reed that may be the best running back, not in 1AA, but might be the best running back in the country.
Right now, he's one of the best 3 or 4 running backs in the nation.
Exactly.
Now, after 3 weeks,
I agree.
But I go back and to see the stadium last week, and I watched it on my little thing where I can watch. Basically, I've got the little deal that if it's on television, I get to watch it if I want to, and to watch that thing, and to see that beautiful stadium, that beautiful setting, and you could sense. And we had a friend that was texting us during the game that was at the stadium, and just the change as the game went on, the deflation of the folks in the stadium, man, it kills me because I think Coach Bell offensively, he is as good an offensive mind, and I'm going to say this. And people are going to say, you've lost your mind. He is as good an offensive mind as there is in this country, at any level, at any school, at any league. He's that good, Chuck. And I don't, now that you might not say it here, but you probably, you could be thinking, yeah, you're full of crap, man. He is an innovator. He puts his kids in spots that they're one-on-one. You talk about Lane thinking 5 weeks ahead. Just watch the way they play. Watch what they were able to do for a while against NC State. But if you don't have the dudes, it's harder to do. And and it's just, man, I am rooting so hard for our local university to do the things that you want to see, because I thought preseason, and again, I'm not going to do like the folks and say, oh, it's gloom and doom, but I thought preseason and then after NC State, they're going to run the SoCon. You ain't going to beat them. But boy, they sure looked beatable last week, and just whoo, it was bad.
Kerwin Bell is a former SEC quarterback who has NFL experience as a player and as a coach, and has been very successful at the D2 level. And also, he was at Jacksonville in the Pioneer Football League. And then he moved to Valdosta State and hooked up with my former teammate at Ferris State for a national championship. He's won national championships. So what your assessment of Kerwin Bell, I am totally on board with. He is phenomenal. What makes him a great coach is what you said. You got to recruit dudes. You can't recruit an area like Florida and say, that's all I'm going to recruit because they got better football. You're obviously not getting the better football players from Florida. You're getting the leftovers. And I'm not saying North Carolina, but, you got to recruit dudes for no matter where they're at. You cannot just go to an area and say, we're recruiting the Florida guys. So I see a chink in that armor of Kerwin is that it's in his recruiting, and he'll continue to, he'll have good teams, but this just can't get over the top. They don't have dudes.
But a pointed question is, I think they got dudes. I don't know that they got a lot of depth behind the dudes. I think they got dudes. They did get exposed in certain areas last week, but for the local, and again, the fan base, because the fans turned out last week and that was phenomenal.
Right.
But how do I ask this without, because I want to be real, are you making the statement that it's go to Florida and recruit everybody you want, go to Georgia and recruit everybody you want, but man, take a look here in Western North Carolina, because your connection, you have no connection. Is that what am I putting words in your mouth?
Oh, you're putting your accurate assessment is that who do you think every top program recruits Florida and Georgia and South Carolina, Texas, and what's left over are guys who can't go play at the elite level. They may not be able to play at the D2 level. They can play at the level. I'm not calling them they're not good college players, but there's different levels. So once the big boys get through with the state, it's like, the vast wastelands where the oil wells are dried up and everything. That's what you're going in to recruit.
But I'm going to cut you off a little bit, but I want to go back to this. Do you believe, does Chuck Fiebernetz, not the fan, but the professional journalist who has been in this world for 40-something years, regardless of if it's the Star or whatever, do you think that this program needs to have some kids from this area to have the connection with the area? Or is that just stupid?
Yeah, there's some thought to it. I'm not saying recruit North Carolina because the school's in North Carolina. You can recruit and look at the kids, and it may be a year where there's just not the talent that can play at your level. But just don't quickly abandon your base. Because you pack stadiums. What happens if they lose today and they go 0-3? What will be the crowd be like at their next home game?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay,
but also I'm going to go back one, and maybe I shouldn't, but I am. I go back and last year, I cannot tell you the, I guess the questions is, I don't understand. You got a kid, and this comes back to recruiting kids regardless of where they are, especially if they're in your backyard. You have a kid that's at Campbell now that walked on that campus as the fifth guy, as a true freshman that's only been in a multiple offensive scheme for 11 games. You have a kid that now has worked himself up to be the third guy on a team that is going. It is really good, as we saw last week. Would young Jed West not look? Would he have not fit this program? He can run. He can throw. He's smart. He's already the third guy at Campbell, and I guess that goes back to me is they never even got a letter
Right.
from our local university. This kid, I don't understand.
They
And that's not a slot. That's a question.
No, because I'm gonna tell you that they just didn't think he was good enough, and the guy they got out there now, I'm like, really? So I don't understand it either. I'm gonna tell you, we listened to a heartfelt 15-20 minutes from Jonathan just this morning about what the T meant. Okay, people in Western North Carolina specifically, this is their base school, and that WCU means something to them. The kids they're getting from lower Georgia and all throughout Florida, that WCU doesn't mean much to them. Quite frankly, this is where they're at and where they're trying. I look out from outside in, and I'm watching, and I've watched Western since 2004. Since 2004. And saw guys playing defensive back, Fran, the head coach at Syracuse. We've met a lot of people, and why is it that kids from the western part of North Carolina, maybe Hickory over to the border to Tennessee, the WCU means something. It's a home school for them. It's not a home school for the guys from Florida. But if you can go get guys from Florida, and that project or experiment has produced 7 and 4 seasons?
Well,
good. It's not great.
But I will tell you this, and I'm not, again, I love Coach Bell, and I'm not throwing. I would recruit every kid he's got, and I'm telling you that. Coach Matthews, one of the most profound statements that he ever said. We were in Alabama, Jonathan's senior year, and we were getting ready to play Alabama, and they're out there warming up. And, our kids, we had been beat up and battered, and just, we started 3 walk-ons, the greatest kids ever. God, I still love those guys, the Sullins. We started 3 walk-ons on the offensive line against the number 1 ranked team in the nation. But I'll never forget, Coach Matthews said, they look better in their uniforms than we do in ours.
Mm-hmm.
And our guys, look, the guys that Coach Bell has got in this program, they look better in their uniforms than the guys that they're playing against. He's got some dudes, but they don't have any depth, I don't think, with the dudes. I would recruit everybody that he's got. But when you have that case, when you have a Jed West, or you have some of the kids that from all these other programs that are fixing to, man, there are some young kids in high school football in Western North Carolina, people, not just at Tuscola, not just in our county, but in Western North Carolina, folks, you better watch out. There's some great football coming.
Well, I've got to add on to that, and it's just asking the kids the one question. Would you consider going to Western Carolina if they come knocking at your door And the vast majority of them would say no.
Well, then at least you ask.
Yeah, but the point is, you have discarded already without even looking at talent. And the kids from Western North Carolina cannot play. And so a slighted kid who may have wanted to go to Western would sit there and go, I don't even want to consider Western. That's what you're faced with and what you created. And I'll emphasize, y'all at Western in Cullowhee created this. This perception that the kids there may be years where they don't have anybody, but if you don't turn over every rock in Western North Carolina and say at least one kid, in a period of 4 years, you might end up having 10 kids from Western North Carolina who can play at that level, but they're going off other places. They're going off other places.
And I get that. And again, I will go back and I will say, there's not a kid on there that I would not recruit, because all you got to do is watch them run, watch them throw, watch them catch, watch them tackle. But if a kid's here and if a kid's local, and at least I would think that I would build relationships with local high school coaches, and they would pick up the phone or send me a text or however they communicate these days and go, hey, I got a kid that you might want to take a look at that can play for you.
Right.
And then, but anyway, I went off on that tangent, and I hate that. I'm sorry. I didn't want to put you on the spot, so I apologize for that.
I'll clarify something. When Kerwin Bell with his Valdosta State football team was playing my former college football teammate, Tony Anise, at Fair State, playing for the D2 national title. Early I might have been somewhere in the second quarter, and watching Kerwin, I think Tony Anise is brilliant. He's also an excellent recruiter. He'll go all over the nation to get players, but he'll never abandon Michigan. Okay? He may not get a lot from Michigan, but he'll never abandon. He does the work without probably any results. But as far as a football coach and strategy, I kind of laughed and talked with Tony after the game when they lost. I said, man, you were matching wits with one hell of an offensive-minded football coach.
Oh, yeah.
And he praised Kerwin Bell he sung his praises. So Kerwin, as a coach, the X's and O's and the taking care of his team, he is a brilliant coach, and Western's lucky to get him. I'm a fan expressing my frustration. Remember, we said not critical as much as it is frustration. I just, in talking with kids, is that they just don't get the look-see because all their attention's down in Florida. And a kid from Western could go home on a weekend. A kid from Western would be less likely to transfer than a kid from Florida. So you got to be careful with the lifeblood of your program. And as long as the transfer portal's there, if you get a good one, yeah, some team will probably come in there and steal.
But pulling for them today, I think, they need it. So pulling for them today. Any other thing here before we get off? And I will say today has been really enjoyable. After sometimes with I tell Jonathan, sometimes, buddy, you make me uncomfortable because he speaks from the heart. He's his mom, and that's that's what I told Janet. Every day with you, I would have probably had a heart attack and died years and years and years ago. But you'll do something, and my heart will do like that, and whatever flack in there just goes away because I never know what's coming next. But today has been a really good. He spoke from the heart today on the Jonathan show. He spoke from the heart, and it's obvious that he and his staff, not just him, but the staff, they love these kids, and football is what they're there for. But it's bigger than football, and I know that you and I have had this conversation a lot, and that's really cool. But just today's been a good show. And we flipped it over from his show to our show because, hey, we can do that.
Right. We can do whatever we want. Our sponsors allow us to do that.
Yeah, they're unbelievable.
You know, Caffeine and Chaos, Sutton and Sons, and then Crompton Automark. So, but I will say this from Johnson's standpoint. Johnson, as long as Johnson continues to pour his 100% of his heart into his school, into the program, and loves his kids, I'm good with anything that comes out of his mouth. I'm good.
Yeah. So any other game on Saturday today that intrigues you that you haven't spoke about? Because we'll be back Tuesday night to review everything anyway on the Dave and Chuck show.
Yeah, well, I always bragged about Elma College, and they played the number 17 team, Wisconsin River Falls. And so it was the number 7 hosting the number 17 team, and they lost 42-35 at home. And so now they go to Dedison. So there will be no third straight undefeated regular season out of Elma, but they still are not out of the playoff picture. They got their backs against the wall. So it's going to be intriguing to see how they play on the road at Denison. And then they got to go next week to Northern Michigan University, a D2 program that plays inside a dome up in Marquette, Michigan. And I thought that was a huge scheduling coup right there, was that to get Northern Michigan. So we'll see how that goes for the Scots. And but I'm still in their corner.
Yeah, and then we'll talk real quick. We'll talk about our dear friends at Mars Hill University football program. Really a scheduling quirk. Just dadgum the way that they've got these scheduling things up there, because it's hard for them to get non-conference games. People do not want to play them because they're going to come in there and they're going to say, hey, this little team from the mountains of Western North Carolina, then they're going to get their butts whipped. So it's hard for them to find non-conference, good quality games that people just don't want to play Mars Hill. So they opened up on the 29th of August with Delta State. Delta State traveled to Mars Hill. They don't. Their next game is on the 21st of September against Lenore-Ryan next Saturday. So Coach Clifton is in his 33rd or 34th year at Mars Hill. That team, and look, they go to Florida, they go to Georgia, they go to South Carolina, and they'll go anywhere to recruit. But man, you go look at the roster, and you'll see Irwin High School, Tuscola High School, North Buncombe High School, East Henderson High School, Western. You know, they got kids from their backup quarterback's a kid from TC Robertson. Their roster is dotted with Western North Carolina kids too. So, go support Mars Hill. It is an amazing place, an amazing coaching staff whose philosophy is exactly what you hear when you hear Jonathan talk about his kids.
Got it.
They're going to coach you hard. They're going to get on you. Coach Pfeiffer is going, if they're their defensive line coach, he is going to make you have a long day, but they're going to love you hard, man. So, so they don't play again until next Saturday. So we got a lot of football going on. Open week for the Mountaineers. Give the hardworking cheerleaders and the bands the band a week to kind of relax too. So, Chuck, we'll see you Tuesday, and we'll talk about the Deacons and the Rebels.
Just remember, my Sherman. You'll see Sherman next time we got on the air. Old Sherman right here.
Oh, you make me you and Jonathan make me so uncomfortable.
Come on, bring it on. Bring it on.
All right, guys. Chuck, have a good Saturday. I'll talk to you this evening. Thank
right.
you, everyone. Have a great day. Enjoy the day.
All right, you too.